Good morning, everyone. It's Noah with the Center for Political Innovation, here to bring you your daily dose of revolutionary hope and optimism. And as somebody who's lost a significant amount of weight, sometimes on my social media, people who have gone through a similar process come up. And a common thing that I often see them say is something along the lines of, you know, my body has changed, I've lost all this weight and people are so much nicer to me, and it makes me upset because did I not deserve that same treatment, when I was heavier? And that's fair. That resentment is fair, I guess. But I think what they're failing to realize is that the process of losing that weight, you became a better person because you were overcoming an addiction. And in that process, you had to learn self-discipline. You had to hold yourself accountable. You had to change, many parts of yourself that, internally were ugly and were hurting. And of course, people are going to treat you different because you've become a better person in the process of losing that weight. And similarly, people who become anti-imperialists, who get revolutionary consciousness, who come to the understanding that the anti-imperialists of the world are right and U.S. imperialism is wrong, who have come to the understanding that through their study of history that, we should be upholding the legacy of the Soviet Union, upholding the legacy of China, who have learned that North Korea is right and, was correct during the Korean War, and that, there's no U.S. troops have no right to occupy the southern part of the Korean peninsula. There are a lot of people who come to that consciousness and they view it as a burden. And I hear this so often. They say, I wish that I could just forget everything that I've learned about this and that I could just go back to being a quote-unquote normal person, that I could wish I could go back to living biologically. And oftentimes I just want to say to these people, but you weren't happy when you were living biologically. You knew that something was wrong. And the process of gaining this consciousness was not just that you were studying these things. Yes, you were studying these things. Not that you would just have this information to have it, but in the process of learning these things, you had to learn to think critically. You had to learn to communicate ideas and to speak to people. And hopefully you've felt compelled to join with a movement, and you've gained comrades and you've gained community, and you've gained people that you can talk to and you can rely on, and you've learned to hold yourself accountable and to feel accountable to other people, not just yourself. And not only that, but you've learned, you may have even traveled to these countries, and you may have learned to talk about, the world around you. These experiences are not something that you would want to throw away so that you could go back to living biologically. And I think you're looking at quote-unquote normal people, which, unfortunately, if you come to this consciousness in this time, you never were, with rose-colored glasses. Because a lot of people right now are suffering and they don't know why. They're suffering and they know that something is wrong with the society in which we live, and they don't know what is wrong. And that causes a lot of hurt, and it causes a lot of people to think that there must be something wrong with them. But a lot of times we don't see that. What we see is what people post on the internet. We see people, going out on the weekends, etc. And we don't see that hurt that a lot of people have, the feeling of being stuck that especially so many young people have. And I think that we need to be able to recognize that the process of being a revolutionary, of becoming a revolutionary, is a process of self-improvement. It's a process of self-discovery. And it is also a process of gaining, social competency in a way that you wouldn't have been able to if you had just stayed a quote-unquote normal person who lives biologically, who doesn't care about these things, who doesn't study these things. And you've become a better person in the process of learning this. Of course, you wouldn't want to go back to the same old way that you used to do things, where you were sad and alone and isolated. That you should want to be part of this community, and that you should want to be an activist. You should want to make your mark on history. Thank you.